Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 328 at scavengerlife.com.
We are currently in Vienna,
Austria.
Yeah. We're here for the week doing a video job.
And it's Oktoberfest.
Yeah, it's Oktoberfest, which doesn't really mean anything except guys walk around with little...
Lederhosen?
Yep, they're rawhide shorts.
And women have those crazy dresses.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's cool.
People take it seriously.
Yeah, I should look up what the celebration is like.
Right. Is it like a harvest celebration or something?
It's cool.
It's all about the beer, yo.
Yep. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's such a different, when we're just traveling on our own, we're like staying in Airbnbs and cooking our own food. And
right.
When we're working, we're staying like in a hotel and eating at a restaurant.
It feels very different.
It's such a different way of traveling.
It's like the opposite.
Yeah. But, it's like I've always said, though, I really don't like hotel rooms, or at least, we're in this little tiny hotel room, and basically the only where to sit is like the bed.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a little chair in the corner, and that's it.
Yeah.
I really like just renting a whole apartment, so you have room to move around.
There's no kitchen. Yeah. There's a tiny mini bar fridge that we're kind of putting snacks in. It's you just gotta. It's not meant for travelers like us, like a hotel room.
I guess like a business traveler, the way they do it is, they have a hotel room. It's like this, and this is just where they sleep, and then they have an expense account, and they just are eating out every meal. Yeah, either the hotel, a restaurant, or other kinds of restaurants, and then they're going to a bar, and I don't know.
It's just different.
So last week we talked about stress.
Yes.
Dealing with stress. And I wanted to kind of I had this idea, and let me see if you follow along with this. So we get emails every week from people who sell on eBay, or they want to sell, they're reaching out asking for help, and it's it's kind of this interesting process because people, number one, give us much more power than we actually have. Like, we know all these answers, which we really don't. But they're also kind of, I guess, just reaching out for help is, I think, they're weird people they can trust. I noticed, though, that, some people, there are different kinds of, it's questions, and it's in, two categories. One is, people are stressed out about something. And then the other people, you can tell their lives are just full of chaos. Mm. And those people are much more difficult to, I can't fix their problems, but it's just... Right. And I know in my life I've had these two different kinds of things. So, unless we talk about stress. Right. And that's where, we're stressed about, flying or, driving on the freeway in a weird country,
right.
And it's something that can be solved, it's like... But chaos is something different. Chaos is when your life is... you're kind of being dishonest about what's going on. You're living in delusion. You're not seeking help. You have no foundation. You're always bumping up against its reality and freaking out because it's not fitting what you think it is. Yeah. Have you ever had your life in chaos?
Not really.
From hearing your story, I think you've always been pretty grounded.
Yeah, I think it is different. Like you said, it's having a chaotic, dysfunctional life versus just having things that are stressing you out and you need to,
Right. This is some armchair psychology, so, I could be totally
for sure.
A little bit crazy here, but, I'll tell you a bit about me. I remember growing up, my parents they're good people, but they were very dishonest with what was going on in our family life, Right. They were kind of lying to each other and lying to us. Yeah. And, I remember growing up in a very chaotic household. Yeah. And then even leaving high school, and just going out on into my own, I carried that through into my 20s. And I just remember life was very difficult because I just was not, I didn't really understand what, reality was around me, It was very chaotic. Yeah. And it wasn't until my late 20s where I kind of just slammed up against, okay, I have to kind of change the way I'm reacting to the world here. Right. And then my life got a lot better. Right. And then I just started getting into stressful things, but those were easily solvable.
Well, I think also, like, when you don't have a chaotic or dysfunctional life, you can deal with stress. I mean, it's not easy. Like, obviously, I was, like, having issues the last couple of weeks where I'm like, I don't know how to deal with this. Like, I'm having a hard time, like, dealing with it. But it's different when you have, like, a supportive partner and, like, things you can do to, like, fix that.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Also, I feel like, and I guess I only bring this up because, again, it's because of the different kinds of ways people approach their eBay business.
Right.
If you have a life that has structure,
right.
You are being honest with reality about your relationships and where you are in the world. Then stress is just kind of like when things are kind of impinging on your planned life.
Right.
Or when things are changing and change is sometimes hard. Or it's just, and the way to solve that is sometimes you just have to set some boundaries up because if you have like some unhealthy person in your life, or if you have a job and it's taking up too much of your time or something, and if you have to set boundaries, like that's how you deal with stress.
Right.
When you have a chaotic life, it's hard to, it's almost just like, dude, go to therapy,
Right.
You need some real change in your life here to, solve what you're going through right now.
Well, I think also, like, something that we find with a couple of different kinds of people, independent workers, freelancers, eBayers, contractors, like, sometimes that can attract people with chaotic lives because they can fit it in here and there amongst the chaos. But, it's different when you're like, no, this is like a healthy part of my life. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I also see it too, like in it's forums, there are people who are coming on and they're like, I have this problem with eBay, there's this thing I don't understand, and and then people are like, oh, hey, here's the answer, or this is how I solve it, and people are like, okay, cool. And then there are people like, here's a problem I have with eBay, and people are like, all right, here's how we solve it, and like, but this problem, it's a real problem.
Well,
it's like, okay, but here's the answer. No, I can't believe it. It's the craziest thing, and it's killing me. It's just
and then
where
it's
the
like,
person isn't really trying to find a problem, or sometimes not accepting the fact that the solution that they want isn't going to happen, and that's just sometimes part of life. And and that's the thing I say about like setting boundaries, and sometimes like, okay, accepting reality, like eBay isn't perfect by far.
Right.
And if you want it to be perfect, you are going to drive yourself crazy.
Well, it's just like the classic thing that we always talk about. They're the sellers who persist, and they're like, oh, eBay changed this. I got to figure it out, Or there's like some guy that lived down the street from us who's like, this one buyer returned a $5 necklace that I sold, so I shut my eBay store down. Right. And you're like,
I'll show you. Right.
And you're like, that's the difference, where this guy clearly like just did not have his life together. And then there's the other people who are like, I'm gonna make this work. This is like,
I'm gonna route around, I'm gonna route around problems.
Right.
When a problem happens, I'm gonna deal with it the best I can, and and I'm always going to get back to a sense of kind of calm and a sense of just say, all right,
right,
like an unstressful life,
like changes and difficulties and returns and like things like that can be stressful, and you're like, like I had a couple of people like want to cancel things because they didn't want to wait for the handling time today, and they were kind of big orders, and you're like, well, that's just the way it goes, Plus, I'm not like, eBay's out to get me. I can't believe, these guys are scamming me. It's like, no, I just have to deal with the issue, and it sucks, and then I gotta go on.
I want to be real clear here. I'm not being unsympathetic to people that do have kind of chaos in their lives, having been someone that lived in a very chaotic world for a long time.
Right.
And I can remember being like that when I finally kind of like, took it upon myself to be like, maybe I need to change the way I'm thinking about things, and getting help. That's a big thing. We've talked about therapy and other kinds of things. when I finally got to a point where my life was not chaotic anymore, I didn't know that was possible.
Right,
And
because you didn't know any different.
And it's hard to tell people who are living in chaos that it can be different if they choose to do the work to get there.
Exactly.
You know? I don't know.
I mean, I think I don't want to say like, oh, my family was not dysfunctional, because that is not true at all. I just happened to be able to work through it with a lot of them. I think everybody's families have like weird, in childhoods have like weird, crazy, but like it's what you said. It's like how you choose to like become an adult.
Well, it's how you choose to deal with whatever the life you've been dealt. And
right, exactly.
From hearing your story and knowing you, it seems like you've always been good at like kind of confronting things and talking to people about it, and it's ratcheting it up so you kind of get to a place that's good.
Yeah.
It took me a little longer to get to that point.
Yeah.
I'll
but
say
the other thing too is like just even in business and in your life and in whatever relationships, you're never like, okay, I fixed it. Like that's never ever what happens. You're always it's like this stress that we had last week. I was not expecting that to happen. Like, I had been cool, my anxiety had been, like, fine for a long time. And then all of a sudden it was just like, boom. And, that just happens. It's just, like, there are weird cycles in life. And same with, like, in your business. There are times in your business where you're like, eBay's really slow, this thing's, like you were saying yesterday, like, sometimes there are, like, tight financial months, and you're just like, oh, my God.
Well, I was talking about, so we were renovating that house for 10 months, and I was just kind of finally being able to talk to you openly about the fact that we had some very tight months.
Yeah, no, I knew it.
Not that, like, I was holding it from you, but there were months where, I was really concerned.
Yeah.
Like, wow, can we pay everybody and, pay for materials and keep our businesses going,
right.
And we could.
You juggled it really well.
Yeah, it was good. Like,
Oh, thank God.
I remember I would tell you, Ryan, let's just make some money. Like,
and that's what I was doing. I was like doing my best.
Yeah.
But.
So anyway, I just thought, when we were talking about stress last week, there is definitely that kind of in your face.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in a stressful atmosphere. I got to fix it. But then I just wanted to also put on top of that, there's, for those people out there that, maybe that's not exactly the description of the way their life is, and their life is more chaotic, where it's not like a stressful, like one thing is happening. It's just like chaos, like
just all the time.
It's always like that. Yeah. And I just encourage those kind of people, because again, we get emailed by people that sounds like they have kind of chaotic lives, and they're trying to run eBay businesses. I mean, it's a much deeper issue, and I just I always encourage people, if they're like, eBay is doing this, I'm like, you know what, the answer here is go to therapy. Because really, this thing you're talking about, eBay, is not like I don't think it's going to get solved for you the way you want it to. Like, there's something else going on, and you need to deal with like the core issue, and then come back to eBay and run a good business.
Well, it's like that. Yes. Like a million times, yes. I've known several people, even with just traditional office jobs, and just every time they have an office job, something crazy happens, and you're like, so my theory is it's not the people around you, it's you. I've definitely had people like that in my life.
There's a well-known, quote of like, if everyone around you is an a-hole, then
maybe it's you. You're the jerk.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also why we've never done one of those like, kind of guru guides to how to be successful on eBay, because I swear it would be like, half of it would just be like, go to therapy. And
just get your life together.
You're having these problems, go to therapy. Like, it has nothing to do with eBay. Yeah. Because eBay itself is actually a really simple system, full of bugs and issues. But really, in the grand scheme of things, they're all easy to, it's route around. Right.
Right.
Or a route around.
Route around.
Okay. So that's my armchair psychology in this hotel room in Austria. All right, let's talk about eBay.
Yes.
Very specifically, we saw some people post on its forum about how they opened up their eBay store online and they started seeing its version of it.
Yeah, like a
and
new,
that happened
like,
to us.
yeah, so this had happened to us before, a new active, like, listing page in your seller hub, but you had opted out of it.
On our main store.
On our main store a couple months ago, right? So I basically never saw it. I was like, whatever. But then I opened my second store up today to do some changes in the bulk editor, and I was like, this, number one, looks different. It doesn't look that different. But it doesn't give you the drop-down menu of, like, 1 through 500, 501 through 1,000. Like, you can just select the amount of
it's 200.
It's 200 on the, is the most you can select on the page. And so I'm just like, I don't know how to opt out of it.
It also doesn't let you in. The reason why I switched out, because when it happened to us, it was like at least 3 months ago.
Yeah.
There was a message up top that said, we switched you over. If you want to switch back, press
Opt
here.
out, yeah.
So I did. This time, it didn't give us that opt
Right.
out. The reason why I don't like it, it doesn't let you. It's filter it the way you want it to, like show me the most recent or show me. It was just kind of all there.
Basically, they made it worse. Like,
now, okay, so here's my question. So also, when you're going to bulk edit, it only allows you to do 200 at a time instead of 500.
Basically, everything that's on the page.
Which is, 500 had already been problematic, especially if you have a
big store,
large store. It does say up top, it says, we changed this out new. It's supposed to be, it's faster. My question is, have you tried it? Is it faster?
I mean, when they say faster, I'm like, what are you even talking about? Like, the page loads faster?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the bulk editor is the same on the back end. So.
Okay, so they didn't change the bulk editor.
It looked the same to me. So I'm just kind of, I don't know. Yeah. I just was like, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, that is a frustrating thing. I mean, change is always not fun sometimes, but, when eBay does these things, it's hard to tell, like, exactly how to give feedback. I know sometimes they'll have tell us what did you think, but it kind of goes into a black hole and you don't know, but anyway, thank God it's just on our second store. So people on its forum said they had to get on the phone and they eventually had the customer service rep help them find a link to be able to switch it back. And your mom actually was complaining about it too.
Yeah, it happened to my mom on her store, and she was writing me these emails, and I was like, I actually don't even know. So I should ask her how she did it, or I would love to hear from other people, like, how they did it. But yeah, I don't know. They do that wacky stuff sometimes, and you're like, it looks all different.
And then last week I was talking about, eBay has this new filter search for a
bundled listing.
Yeah, and on the forum we were talking about it, and I think I'm going to try and get this right. Amatino posted where she explained the difference between, an item, a lot, set, a bundled.
Like, I know that bundled listing usually means, like, for example, if you're selling a cell phone and it comes with a charger and a cable, that's a bundled listing. But
it's just kind of like, I guess it's just a different way to say a lot, because it looks the exact same. It's just a photo of, like, a group of items. I mean, it'd be like, so here's 5 shirts, or here's a camera and a charger and a case. I mean, it's all multiple items. You're just calling one a bundle and one a lot. I guess I'm thinking Amazon does it better, where if you buy a camera, right under it's neath it says people that buy this camera also buy, this case, this battery, this thing, and it's going to come out to, $800, and you click here and buy all of it.
Thing.
That to me kind of made more sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's
no, it's yeah. It doesn't. The weird thing is that, when people are like, oh, the bundled listing is like a phone with a charger and a extra whatever, but I'm like, what does it mean for clothes? I mean, is it like
I guess buy underwear, socks, and whatever.
Right. I don't know.
I mean,
so,
it's just
to me. I'm like,
I guess if you could make a bundle out of anything,
Sure.
Buy a cup, a plate, and
and then you're like, I don't know. I just
So that being said, let's talk about change. This is, I guess, the thing about change here. This podcast, the fall update came out. I feel like it's this year. There was a spring. Then they had a summer update. Yeah, and they rarely do that, but they always have a spring and fall. Mm-hmm. So this is the expected one. Yeah. There were no big changes really, and I'll link to this on the podcast. But the one I saw that stuck out when we were talking about was a new filter.
Free returns.
Free returns.
Meaning you will not charge a restocking fee, right?
Yes. So people can, I guess soon, like a buyer, can filter out anything where they can't return it for free.
Right.
Now, obviously, eBay still has it where if the person just changed their mind, they're supposed to admit that and pay the
Like, I just didn't like
shipping.
this shirt.
Right. And so,
they never do.
But if there's a problem, they're allowed to return it.
Right.
And so we have a restocking fee on our item if someone just returns it because they changed their mind. I mean, basically, it's just to pay for it's your time. You have to take this thing and ship it. And, so we're debating whether or not we are going to take off the our restocking fee.
We do have a restocking fee. People ask us that all the time. We do.
Now, something else, and you'll be able to answer this better than I do. So the markdown, its manager, is now in the promotion manager.
I mean, look, markdown manager is just a link on the promotions page. Like, as of right now, you go on to like the promotion manager page, and on the left it's like markdown manager old. That's what it says, because the markdown manager's not changed at all yet.
So I wonder if it's going to. But so
they said it's going to.
Because the markdown manager is like the old style of
eBay, like you look at it and you're like, this is from 1999.
Like, it looks like it's an Excel sheet.
Yeah,
or something,
it's just like
super clunky, and you click it and like a box pops up and it's like,
it's horrible.
But the promotions as manager is sleeker, and does it work better? I mean, is it?
You mean when you do like promoted listings? Yeah, it looks new and stuff.
And is it a faster
it's faster, but it's different. I mean, it's just a different thing.
Is it still like 500 items at a time, or
it's 500 items at a time. So the other weird thing about Markdown Manager is if you want to mark down your whole store and you have a really big store, you can only do 5,000 items a day.
But only 500 at a time. So, or can you say
that's not how Markdown Manager works?
Okay.
You've obviously never seen it.
I have not. Tell me. I mean,
it's just,
that's why we're talking
literally,
about
it's just a page that you're like, do you want to mark down all your items, all fixed price items, or all things in one category? Like, you go through it and then you're like, how much do you want to discount it by, a dollar amount or percentage? And then you like set the date and time only on Pacific time, so you have to like open up a thing. You're like, what time is it in California right now?
Like, does it do the whole store, the 5,000 items at one time?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, it does. But the thing about Markdown Manager, it's so clunky. Sometimes it'll just leave off like 1,000 listings, and you're like, why did that happen? And it's just like, we created a sale, and 1,000 listings didn't get listed, and it has no reason. You're like, that's like a fifth of my store.
And then what do you do?
Well, you have to do another sale. You're like, okay, the rest of my fixed price items need to. It's so horrible. Right. You should just be like.
It should just be like,
so stupid.
Put my store on sale.
On sale.
And then just check box.
And until from this moment on, that's the thing. Like, you'll go in there and do the date and time, and it's like, this is only Pacific Standard Time. And you're like, I have to see what time it is in California right now in order to start my sale. What the hell? It's so annoying.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I wish that there was a page where you could talk to the people that were building this stuff. I mean, of course, that's like not a reality. Like engineers don't want to talk, talk to people. I'm sure, but it just. I mean, it would just be good to hear, like, that's a great idea, but the reality of building something like that is just too daunting, or like we can't do that with eBay being so huge or something. I don't know.
It's a good question. So let's move on here.
Okay.
They also said no watermarks, which is kind of crazy because there are a lot of sellers who do like a watermark on their page.
I mean,
right?
come on. I'm like, we've never done watermark.
No.
People are like,
someone will steal your photos.
Yeah.
They do it anyway.
Yeah, they do it anyway, and I don't know. So, but people that went all in on that, they had to have a watermark so people wouldn't steal their photos.
Yeah.
eBay's like,
nope.
You have to change it by, I forgot what date it was.
Soon.
It's November or something, October. And, or they won't put those photos up,
Yeah. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that the people doing that were mainly the people that had quantity, so... Especially like when we were selling, it's military items, like
surplus.
Surplus. There were guys that were had huge warehouses. They were buying just like pallets of these old military stuff, and they would just have photos for everything that they just had reused again and again.
Yeah.
And I guess they probably noticed that other people were coming in and stealing their photos
because they're buying surplus too. Yeah.
So,
I get it. That is annoying.
I don't know, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Something else new that I have not actually seen like a link for or an announcement, but on the its forum, TSAT, who always gives out a lot of good info on the its forum. He says that when he went to the eBay Open, they announced something called the concierge. Its service, and it's something, I guess it's a beta program right now that he was allowed into, and again, I couldn't find like an actual announcement where eBay explained it, but what he said was eBay, I guess, is training its reps here in America who will be better informed. So when you have a problem, you can call them, and supposedly they'll just be able to solve the problems faster.
I mean, that sounds like the anchor reps. I mean, I'm thinking it's for people who don't have an anchor store. Right. And we've said this before. The anchor reps, number one, are super knowledgeable.
And anchor reps just mean if you have a subscription, the anchor subscription.
You have a different phone number that you call.
Right.
And we've been saying for a while, all eBay reps should be like anchor reps.
So at this point, we don't know anything about its program. So now we're just talking about what we wish would happen.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, I think they could have a smaller amount of customer service people.
Yeah.
If they were just more knowledgeable and that they were empowered to do something. Because I think most of us have problems when you're just calling and it's someone in the Philippines or even someone in America that isn't very it's knowledgeable. They don't know the rules.
Right.
They don't feel empowered to do anything. It feels like they're just trying to either get you off the phone or just put you off. I mean, and then that makes you call again and again. And so if they just had people that would solve the problem then and there, then they could have fewer employees and make everyone happy.
I also just think it makes a better company. Like we've talked about this before. We use the phone service Ting. And anytime I've ever had a question or we got new phones or I needed a new SIM card or we're traveling internationally, number one, they have chat. But number two, if I've ever had to call them, a real person answers. They totally know what they're talking about. If they don't, they're like, I'm going to look that up for you and I'm going to email you in the next 15 minutes.
And they always solve it basically right then and there. Right.
And so when you have a company that does that, you create a level of loyalty that's like rabid. Like I will never, I hope Ting never gets bought out by like AT&T or Sprint or whatever because I'm just like, they're the best. So, for eBay to, like on Amazon, like can you even call Amazon if you're like, I ordered this thing, it never got here. It's just, to create that level of customer service of like real customer service.
Yeah.
makes a difference to me.
So anyway, we're interested. I mean, if anyone actually has found a link on eBay itself where they explain what this its service is, I would love to actually learn more, because right now we're just kind of talking about what we wish
heard
it was
and what we heard might happen.
Okay, let's talk about our numbers for this. Oh, just one other thing. Yeah, so we
had to cancel 2 sales this week.
Right. So we canceled 2 sales because the buyers realized they couldn't wait for us to
ship the items. So that's fine.
As of now, we have 139 orders waiting to be shipped.
You know what's funny? I think I was looking at our Airbnb schedule, and I was like, we're gonna get off the plane and basically drive over to the farmhouse and get stuff out of the sheds. Most of our stuff's at home, but I'm like, I have so much stuff to ship that I need everything the moment I get home.
Cool.
So we have a lot of stuff to ship. But I'm going to get my eBay helper to help me.
Yeah.
So.
Good.
That'll be very.
Yeah, I mean, because we're going to slowly start teaching her how to ship. And so maybe in a year, if we take another trip, it would be the first time we wouldn't have to change our handling time, and it could just ship the next day because we have someone shipping for us.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Kind of a fantasy we've always had.
I just don't know. I mean, I think it can happen.
Yeah.
And we can try.
Yeah, it's about getting that storage building, which allows us to have an inventory.
Yeah.
A system that can be understood by anybody, and then number 3, teaching somebody how to ship.
Yeah.
Okay, our numbers. So this week we sold 45 items.
Wow.
And we made about $3,500.
Oh my god. Well, there's a reason for that.
We'll talk about that. So we sold one really, really big item.
Yeah.
And then in our second store, we sold 8 items for $250.
That's pretty good.
So really, last week's sales were pretty slow, and this week's sales were actually much better. I mean, number 1, because we sold a big item, and we sold a piece of furniture for $1,800. But also just our sales were just better this week, and I don't know. It just comes and goes, and again, we have a extended handling time, and we just aren't feeling like that is being a big problem,
I sold 2 Starbucks mugs on Bonanza.
All right.
For about $45, something like that. So that was pretty good.
I can remember when Starbucks mugs would always sell for good its money, and then everyone got into Starbucks mugs, and now it's like a glut on the market, and we just rarely sell them.
I rarely sell them, and I don't really buy them anymore, unless I think this is seems like a rare special one, but.
There's
just so many of them.
Yeah, it's like Polaroids. We would sell any Polaroid we ever found, and then everyone started to buy Polaroids to sell, and then
it's just
now no one ever.
Although I did sell a Polaroid this week for $50. So.
And then same thing happened. It's with hats. We could always sell all these hats,
and
now it's just we
but we still sell hats. Yeah,
we still sell them, but ours we sell 2 a week or something, just because I think just a lot of people just started realizing they could buy buy a lot of 300 hats, throw them up, sell them for $10,
easy to ship,
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so things we sold. The big thing we sold was that desk that we had been talking about.
Yeah, that mid-century Danish modern desk. Look, I bought it for $300 at an auction
4 years ago.
Well, I feel like it was more than that.
And we bought it for a desk for
me.
You.
Yeah.
So all of your eBay stuff is on.
My computer is on there. My printer.
It's like a tornado hit it.
It's just ridiculous. When this lady bought it, I was like, "Oh God, now I have to clean off my desk."
But it's an awesome desk, and we had a deal. We were like, "We'll buy a new laptop
for me
if we sell that desk."
Right. So I put the desk up for sale. It had been up for sale for a few months. I brought the price down, and I had to buy a laptop before I sold the desk. I was like, I need this before we travel. But the great thing is it sold, just a couple weeks, just a month after I bought my laptop.
And I mean, it's not like we could only buy a laptop if we sold it, but that's
the motivation.
That's just the way we like to do things, where if we're going to, have a big sale, if we're going to have a big purchase, we like to motivate ourselves by saying, well, let's sell something we don't really need.
I don't need a fancy desk.
We had a desk. like maybe we could have sold it for $3,000, but we were willing to sell it for $1,850.
Right.
And you don't need to have a fancy desk.
I'm just gonna use a folding table, like,
or
I
we'll
don't
get like a
care.
nice desk at IKEA for $100 or
Right,
something,
right,
And
exactly.
that's all we need. I mean, we honestly didn't know that the desk was worth as much as it was till
When we
later
bought
on.
it, yeah, exactly. So that was good. That paid for my laptop.
Yep, and she bought it. It's local pickup. She lives like an hour away, so
Yeah.
we message her and we'll just arrange for her to come pick it up. And
Yeah.
and people are always like, "Is it safe?" And what if she buys it and then says she never got it? And so
Right.
the way we do it is like we said, she's already paid for it, so
Right.
it's been paid for.
Yeah.
And in the messages, we're talking to her about when she'll pick it up, and so there'll be documentation of us talking about
Right.
it,
And so, I said, we're going to be back on this date.
And, if I felt sketchy about it, like as messages, I would just cancel that sale.
Right.
But she seems fine. And, I mean, we've never done this, but I guess what you could do is just print the invoice out, and then when she picks it up, have her sign the invoice.
Right.
I mean, just as kind of like an informal,
Right.
right. Pass off.
Something.
Anyway.
But, so far so good on local pickup.
We've
for
never
us.
had a problem. So during this trip, we have not scavenged really anything. I bought one thing. We went to like a flea market in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Just for fun, and I found like a local box that I bought. But we haven't, number one, had time, and not really the inclination to really kind of spend,
Yeah, I mean, we
days.
just also we had a trip. This trip we've been bouncing all over the place, and our trip home, we're flying out of Munich, so we have a train from Vienna to Munich, and it's just I don't want to carry anything around.
Yeah.
I just want my backpack.
Yeah. Like in the past, we've kind of been in one place, so we could fill up like a big duffel bag. I can remember I had that big army duffel bag.
Yep. Because you had one bag to check.
I only had to
for free.
take it from one place to the airport,
Right.
and then the airport to our house. Here, it would be too crazy walking around.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get home next. When is it? We fly. So when you hear this podcast, it's next week. We will be in Iceland.
Yes.
Yep. And then we get home that Sunday.
Because we have we fly from Munich to Iceland home, and we stay overnight in Iceland, kind of to break up the trip, because flights from the middle of Europe over to the U.S., even the East Coast, you're it's a long flight.
Yeah, well, part of that is my not liking being on planes for long periods of
Yeah.
time. So we're doing an experiment. What is that like? It's breaking it up in 6-hour chunks first. Taking a 13-hour trip home, or flying to London with a 3-hour layover.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so let's listen to voicemails. We have a few voicemails. The phone number is 540-407-8486, and you have 3 minutes to leave a message.
Hey, Jay. I just want to say thank you for answering my previous questions a week ago. And as one to clarify, when I asked if you have ever considered selling your eBay account, I was actually referring to your eBay store minus your inventory. And if you search eBay in the search tab, you will find eBay stores for sale. Just search eBay store for sale. And also I have a couple questions again. First question, I was wondering if it took a while for your second store to start selling regularly, since it had 0 reviews and was basically a fresh new store without any sales records. Also, do you copy and paste your block bidders list to avoid similar users in both your stores? And second question, try the eBay Battlegram where you can send in your items and have other selling professionals sell them for you, and you get a percentage back. I was wondering how well that eBay Valley works and was considering trying it with a death pile of $3 to $5 items. Thanks again. You're having an awesome vacation.
Okay, so number one, I don't know if we talked about this, but yeah, people had pointed out that, if you go on eBay, you can't actually search and buy store its names. Basically, you're just buying the store, its name with all of its
Right.
It's feedback. I'm not eBay. I don't know if that's possible. It seems like you're able to do it. I don't know. I don't think why that would be a good thing, because then, a scammer could just buy a good store, fill it with counterfeit, try and rip a bunch of people off before they get blocked again, and then just go and buy another store. I don't know. That's why I would think it wouldn't be possible. We've never gotten to the point where we would want to sell our store, even if it was possible. I don't know.
Yeah, So the other thing is, how long did it take for our second store to take off? I mean, stuff started selling right away, and that other store was like Jay's old account, so you had feedback. You had like 150 feedback.
A little feedback from just buying stuff.
So we did have selling limits and stuff, but it didn't really matter. It was just.
I really think that it doesn't. I don't. When I buy things from people, unless it's something really expensive, I never look at like what kind of, if they have 5 feedback or 100. If they have a good item that has it's photographed at a good price, I buy it. I mean, I don't really think about that stuff because I know eBay will back me up. So if this person rips me off, I can return it and get my his money back.
The other question you had was, do we copy and paste our blocked buyers? No, I haven't done that. Although there are some buyers that I've had like real problems with, and I definitely put them on both lists. But it was just like...
I mean, I think really we've maybe, since selling full-time since 2008, I think there might have been, 5 people that were like real problems.
Yeah, I mean and I put those on both. I'm like, this person was really...
Buyers who are actually like, they seem abusive.
Right, and just like nutty.
They're gonna come after us. 5 people out of... the thousands of people we've sold to. The other people that we've just put on the block are just people who are just like a pain in the butt. They're just like, these people are just like, I don't want to sell to them again because they're just a pain in the butt. Like they're not bad people. They're just confused, and I don't want to deal with them.
Yeah. Okay. So you also asked about sending items into like the professional eBay sellers.
It's called the eBay. It's valet, I think.
Oh, eBay valet. Yeah, don't do that. You're not going to make any money.
Or we tried it, and if you actually check out the page that they talk about it, they're like, send in your iPhone and your gold jewelry, and
not your
like they want you to send in stuff that's easy to sell, that's guaranteed to sell,
and it's high end.
So we tried it, and we were like, well, let's send in like 10 pieces of
clothing.
It's clothing.
First of all, their photos looked horrible.
Right.
I was like, this person's not a professional.
They had it on 5-day auction. I think one thing sold for like $9.
Yeah,
and then they just mailed the rest of it back. So it works if you're too lazy to sell something that's guaranteed to sell for a lot of cash. So if you have a lot of gold, send it in. They'll gladly sell it for you.
Yeah, but you could just sell it yourself in like 2 seconds.
But if you just have a lot of stuff, like long tail items, things that need to, wait to be sold, that's not stuff to send to them.
Exactly.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, Tom in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma here. Hope you guys are enjoying your trip. I was just listening to the most recent podcast. You guys are talking about all the new contact links and everything. And that's kind of a screwed up deal because I had some that weren't even contact links but I guess they're just kind of getting rid of everything. But anyway, I just want to let you know, since you didn't mention this, that if people have a bunch of listings with the same exact link, like their listing service link or something like that, and I know you guys probably know this, but you can go in and choose either just those listings or all their listings for that matter and bulk edit, and then go into the edit description and do the find and replace, and they can copy and paste the HTML code from one of their listings. They just have to copy and search for the entire link all the way from A tag to A tag. And they just put that in the search for box and then just leave the replace box blank. But they have to do it it has to be the whole tag, from the A tag all the way to the ending A tag. And you guys can explain that better on how to do that. And you might have to do it 2 or 3 times to get eBay to strip them all out. Because sometimes it skips them. It'd take a couple times, but anyway, I did a bunch of my listings that way. For some old listings I had when I was using a service. But anyway, appreciate everything you guys do. Have fun, be safe, watch that unleaded fuel. I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, so it sounds like, yes, that could very well be possible. In the bulk lister, there's a find and replace way to search the HTML. And when he's saying a tag, that's the HTML code for making a link. It's A to A.
Right, because, I mean, again, eBay is saying no more links.
Right.
Except for what? Except for...
Like, you can't embed a YouTube video, but you can link to one. Or, like, freight shippers, if you're like, uship.com.
But everything else not... And I think what a lot of people were having problems with, they were using third-party...
Yeah.
Either a listing... at services, and these services would basically put free advertising
for themselves.
Where like somewhere on the page or even hidden in the HTML, they would have a link back to their thing, like posted by
such
this thing.
Service.
So then it's easy to do that, where you just say go through all these and take out that one tag.
Right. So it's not easy. It's totally geeky, but it sounds like it is possible. I think I way back when I used to link to like Twitter, like follow me on Twitter, like when they allowed that, I had like 1,000 listings that had that, and they're like, you can't have this anymore. And but this was years ago, right. So I haven't done it in a long time. But it is possible. So I
remember when we first started, we made a horrible it's a mistake when eBay had all those like weird services that were free, like
gallery.
This one had been like it was like a mapping thing, like put a map on all your things to show where things have been bought from. And we said, okay, sure. And we thought it was just going to be on that one. It put it on all of our things.
It's not that I thought it would be on one. I thought it was like an internal service to show you like, this is where you ship the most. Texas and, California.
It turned out they put a map on all of our things.
Right.
And there was no way to take it off. And we even contacted the company. How do I take this off?
They were
like, you can't. And we were like, oh my God. So we finally just had to wait till all those got sold off.
I hate stuff like that.
So it's nowadays, we are definitely on team clean. Description.
No description.
Our description is just like the most basic.
Yeah.
Just the facts, ma'am. Yeah. No links, no.
Because that's anything. What eBay wants.
Yeah.
And there was a discussion on the forum this week where people were like, nobody reads the description. People are barely reading the title anymore. People are like, what color is this and what size? You're like, it's in the title. Like, what are you even looking at?
Hi, Jay and Ryan. This is Megan. I love your podcast. I've been listening to it for about a month now. My husband and I flip houses, and I also buy and sell books on eBay. I hope you're having an awesome time on your trip. I ran into something today that I've never had happen before. I'll try to be quick about it. I bought a book in an auction for $26. That was well over $200. And once I won it, the seller messaged me and said, congratulations, he forgot to put a reserve on the book, so he was going to send it anyway. So I went to go pay, and we were emailing back and forth, and PayPal was down, so I couldn't pay. So I just messaged him to tell me that, and he called me back, or he emailed me back and said to go ahead and do it through his PayPal account and to feel free to leave him a tip, which obviously I'm not going to do. I'm going to pay him through eBay tomorrow. My question is tipping normal? I mean, I got an over $200 book for $26. I'm always a good tipper at restaurants and in our business, but do people tip on eBay? So that's my question. I hope you guys are having a fabulous vacation. Bye.
You know what I said about this seller. Yeah. What a dink.
I mean, look. The guy sold us something and underpriced it, and you took advantage of it. He should.
As you should.
He should, just send it to you. I mean, I would just ignore him. I don't even know what that means, like send a tip. I mean, if you want to send him a tip, that's fine, but...
You don't need to. It's not customary.
If you feel bad that you kind of saw something he didn't see, but I've never heard of giving a tip to an eBay seller,
I'm rolling my eyes. That's all I have to say.
Good for you for finding that, though. That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah, that's so good.
$200 book.
I also love to hear people who flip houses and sell on eBay. You are awesome.
Yeah, because
I want to hear more.
Because it's really, I guess, if you think about it, if you flipping a house and selling like an old pair of shoes, it's really
like almost the same thing.
The exact same concept.
Only different scales.
You're finding something that is not. It's valued correctly, and you kind of clean it up, and then you resell it as a higher price. Just like you find an old pair of shoes that are sold cheap, and you clean it up, and you sell it. It's the same thing. It's just on a much bigger scale.
I would love to hear, like, what you're doing on your house flips, too.
Yeah.
Like, are you gutting it, or are you just, like, cosmetic?
Although, to be fair, we're team buy and hold.
We're buy and hold, but I also love flippers.
Yeah.
I do love to live vicariously through house flippers.
Yeah, although I never really understand those dollar amounts, because they, go through a lot of work. They make $30,000 and then they start over again. I don't know. I just feel like
we're like,
you're going to make more if you hold it for 20 years and all the rent you're going to make anyway.
Yeah, so that's why
a whole other podcast.
I love to talk to house flippers, so email us.
This is Elizabeth. I had a nice eBay story for everybody. Give them a heads up. I was using my store coupon to pick up some boxes. Hit PayPal expecting a enter your coupon code box to come up, which it didn't. It just took it out of my PayPal. Tried to cancel it. It had shipped already. It was so fast. There was nothing I could do. Called customer service. Actually got an answer right away. He apologized that the enter your coupon code box is so far down the screen that a lot of people don't see it. He gave me a $25 coupon for my trouble, and I still had my free coupon waiting for me. So all's well that ends well. Just a heads up, if you're entering that, looking for a place to enter your free coupon code, scroll way down before you hit how you want to pay. That's all. Hope you're having a nice trip. Thanks for everything you do. Bye.
Yep. The coupon code for your eBay shipping supplies, it's like, or any time you have a coupon code and you're buying on eBay, you got to go way down. Like, they don't make it easy. And also make sure once you apply the coupon code, number one, you don't go back and add stuff to your cart because the coupon code goes away. It doesn't, delete it or anything. It's not applied again. So you have to reapply it and make sure the total amount is at zero. Or, there have been times where I have to pay like $4 extra and not like $150. Just make sure that all looks legit before you're like, pay. Because that's where you run into trouble, where you're like, it's happening so quick. You're like, da-da-da-da, okay, great, pay. And you've just paid like $50 for stuff that you should get for free. So we've heard of people do
coupons.
That. Yep, that's it. Bye.
Hi, Jay and Ryan. This is Tracy from Florida. I have a fun story about a customer issue to tell you. I live in Jacksonville, and we were right in the path of Hurricane Irma. And so I had, preparing for the hurricane the week prior, I had a sale on Wednesday, and I emailed the buyer immediately or messaged the buyer immediately, and I told her, we have this hurricane coming, and I don't know what time, what day they're shutting the post offices down. And it was the best offer, so I was waiting for her, and I had just asked her, I said, if you get your payment in as soon as possible, I can get this in the mail and so it won't get stuck here in Florida. And so she, messaged back and said, sure, I'll pay you tomorrow, and then that way it'll get going. Well, didn't hear from her. And then Friday night, my automatic unpaid item thing kicked in and opened the case, and within an hour she paid, and that was Friday night. So immediately I packed it up, took it to the post office on Saturday morning. And, of course, the storm hit on Sunday. Well, it got waylaid somewhere, and, of course, USPS showed the tracking to be delivered on Wednesday. And when her mail came on Wednesday and she didn't get her package, she immediately gave me a negative. And I messaged her right away and said, hey, it's probably delayed because of the storm. I got it in the mail as soon as possible. You can see it got scanned like within 10 hours of you paying, which was an overnight thing. And No, nothing from her. The negative is still standing and saying that her package never arrived. So, of course, I emailed the email for the hurricane relief at ebay.com and just let them know the situation. Well, the minute it got delivered the next day, as soon as tracking updated, I kept checking it. eBay went on, deleted the negative, and then sent me a really sweet email and just let them know, we have your back. We understand, if you're having issues with delays. And I was super impressed with how, low drama they were and how they handled it right away. So a happy outcome to a customer issue. And of course, that all comes with the business. But, I just love that they're taking care of everybody down here in Florida and in Texas, and that they understand that we want to be on eBay and we want to sell, but, we're doing our best. So I just thought I'd drop that by and let you guys know. And I hope you're having a great trip and love the podcast. Thanks so much. Bye.
That is a great story. I'm very disappointed in your buyer. What a jerk.
But we have heard from other people who are from Houston or Florida, and they said eBay's really done a good job. I hope, it sounds like, where they've said they're going to waive seller fees or
like
subscription fees for a couple months. And
good. Well, that's great.
So
so it sounds like there is an email, or probably if you call and you're like, look, this is where I'm at, so yes, make sure you got all your stuff covered if you had late shipping or anything because of, people didn't have power for weeks. Some people still don't have power. So we have a couple of friends and colleagues who we're working with here in Vienna, actually 3 people that just flew here from Florida, and they're just like, they're like, it's rough,
But, it's good that eBay is acknowledging that because, if you have a store and you're in a flood zone, how do you ship anything? So
exactly. So that's a great story. Okay, that is it for the podcast today. You can check out the blog for the links we discuss and to join the conversation on the forums. You can leave a question or a comment on our voicemail line. Again, that phone number is 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video, currently brought to you by Steven Schultz and his doggies and kitty. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube, so you always get the latest episode. We just last week posted an update on our other podcast, shampooandbooze.com, where we talk about our renovation and traveling. So you can go check that out. You can also see a link to our rentals on Scavenger Life and on Shampoo and Booze. So if you're interested in renting our vacation homes, you can see the links there. And from Vienna, Austria, we are ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Auf Wiedersehen!